Good morning and welcome to another conversation with Mose. And as always, I pray life is treating you well, exceptionally well, wherever you are in the world, and that you're one day closer to your dreams, hopes, prayers, and aspirations coming true. Going to do something a little different today. It's been a while since I've been on and doing a podcast. This is a new episode for 2025. And I'm doing an excerpt from the book, The Miseducation of a Negro, written by Carter G. Woodson. And I have to recommend this book. It's an excellent, eye-opening book that I've just read recently in the last couple years. And you should definitely add it to your collection. And here we go. If you are educated by people, white or black, who are victims of white supremacy, you will hate yourself. You will possess a European definition of beauty, a white image of Jesus, despise black professionals and businesses, and go to any length to be accepted by the oppressor. Said a mouthful in just a few words, and this book is really, really old, but it's so relevant still today. Which brings me to my podcast for the day, and it is A Black Man Goes Back to College. Let me say that one more time. A black man goes back to college. And I wanted to share that because I am that black man. I have been in school for the last 8 weeks, and I made a decision late last year, or kind of midsummer, to continue my education, higher learning, if you will. And it wasn't an easy decision, but it was something I made my mind up that I was going to do. And then I started doing the research. I spoke to my sister, my partner, my friends, and I got the support that I needed. And to be honest with you, I was going to do it anyway if I didn't get the support. But having support is always wonderful. And this particular podcast is for those people that are thinking about going back to school and having some misgivings or some apprehensiveness about it. And I'm here to talk about that process. And I'm going to be honest, as I always am. I mean, again, I'm 56 going on 57. And going back to school was a major milestone for me, again, for a lot of reasons. And I'm going to dive into that. But the first thing is, when I say go back to college, I actually didn't go to a traditional college. I went to the Art Institute in Atlanta, as you all know, when I was 18 to 21 to study music business, which I don't regret. I really did enjoy my time at the Art Institute. But I have to say, when I had to get my transcripts from the Art Institute and from my high school, I learned a lot of things about myself that I wasn't prepared for. And what I mean by that is that I wasn't a really good student. And to be honest with you, the first college that I applied to turned me down. They said my grades and my transcripts just weren't not up to par. And it really made me analyze who I was back then, as a teenager and as a young person. And to be honest with you, I just wasn't focused. I was smart, but I didn't apply myself at all. I mean, I really didn't like school very much. I really didn't think about it. I just wanted to get out of school, and I barely made it out. And I called my parents, and I was just kind of talking to them like, was I this guy? And it made me ashamed of myself, but I understood why I didn't like school, like being bullied and having this inadequacy about myself. I just didn't apply myself at all. I knew the work, I just didn't care. I did just enough to get by. So I really didn't know my full potential. Even though there were people around me telling me, no one was actually showing me. So I had a lot of anger issues and a lot of frustration. Fast forwarding to now, I'm not really going to get into the school that I'm going to and where I'm going and that kind of thing. I really want to keep some things sacred. But I can tell you I'm studying graphic design and writing and entrepreneurship, which is this particular semester. And I'm halfway through my first semester. Actually, yesterday was the last day of the semester. I'm actually on spring break. And I won't start again until the 24th, my next set of classes. And I have to say, this journey has been really highs and lows because once you make up your mind to go back to school, you still got to deal with life because life's still going to be life and bills going to still be coming in. You're still going to be dealing with your day to day, quote unquote, shit. Now you've just added school to the equation. And I have to admit that first couple weeks wasn't cute for me. You know, I was a real bitch during that time. And I say that because I was trying to do too much. You know, I really wasn't mentally prepared. I had all my tools. I had my computer and all that good stuff, but printer and all that, but I didn't have my mind wrapped around being a student. And it took a couple weeks for me to relax. And I want to talk about that too. When you make up your mind to go back to school, make sure you are setting aside the time mentally to recharge. Because I would spend 2 or 3 hours on a book, stressed out, and not getting off the computer. So what I do now is I work and then I get off and take a break. Work, get off, take a break, and process what I learned, what I'm doing. And it took me a minute because, again, I had to let go of the kid in me that wanted to be perfect. And to be honest with you, I've never applied myself like this. Like, never in my life have I ever applied myself to education, to wanting to be better. And the things that I've learned about myself, it really makes me wish I could do a do-over when I was younger. But the past is the past, and I'm actually gratefully happy that I'm learning something, even at my age now. And I can't tell you the joy that it brings me to actually see your creations come to life, to see your progression, to establish a relationship with your professors. It's not as scary as people make it out to be. You just have to decide what kind of student you want to be. And the other thing that I've learned is you have to take the classes that fall in line with your life, your lifestyle, your goals. Don't get distracted by others. If you have no interest in doing certain things, do what falls in line with your life. That's in alignment with your goals, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, financially. And of course, I'm doing this to make more money. That's always the first and the forefront. But you know what? It's selfish and it's crazy, but I think people already believe that I had a degree in so many things that people treated me. You know, they still do. And I've always been around educated people. I've always been attracted to people that were intelligent. It really didn't matter what their race was. I just liked intelligent people. And to be honest with you, half the things that I've learned in my life were from people that were smarter than me. So I pride myself on that. And to be black and educated in this country, I mean, I got so much admiration for people that put the time in. I mean, they did the work. And again, why would I be jealous of people that put the work in, especially black people being black in America, which gets back to what Carter said, Mr. Carter. If you are educated by people, white or black, who are victims of white supremacy, you will hate yourself. And if you think about that for a moment, white people teaching us who we are, telling us who we are. And I've never bought into that. Even when I was a kid, I was always questioning that. And I was that black person, and I still am. And it's probably the reason why I haven't progressed, because I was always told by other black people, you can't say that or don't do that. And I was always standing alone by myself. If I stood up for something, I was by myself. Nobody ever stood with me. And even to this day, I still stand by myself when it comes to standing up for myself, whether it's getting more money or facing racism or any kind of situation where it's a problem for some. Nobody stands with me. And one day I'm going to write a book about all those experiences so people can really see that they're not alone in situations like that. Excuse me. So saying that to say, going back to school was a no-brainer for me. And I needed to focus my attention on other things because the political climate, I didn't want to focus on that. I refuse to focus on the political climate, and I'm not going to have that conversation. You're never going to get that from me. You see the news, you know what's going on. You don't need that from me. So studying and focusing and putting my nose in a book has been incredible. And I'm probably going to do a part 2 to this. I'm almost sure that I am. But this particular episode, I want to focus on getting your mind ready for school, even once you start. And also, technically, I'm a physical book person. I like having physical books. So this digital book thing, I can't. I had to have my own physical books. So I bought my books, got a printer, and you have to have more than one computer. I would recommend having a desktop and either an iPad or a laptop. In addition to, you need at least 2 screens, because to me, you're going to be looking at the lectures online, and then also you're going to have to actually do the work. So I would recommend having multiple computers, or you could use your phone too. But especially for the older people that are, like I said, coming back to school later in life, I would recommend having, and then making sure your computer is up to snuff and able to handle the software and whatnot. And that's the time when you got to let your friends and family know that you're going to be studying. That's something your kids, I need to study. And if they can't understand it, then they're just going to have to understand. And I had to spend a lot of weekends studying. But needless to say, you still have to make time for the people that you care about. Now, make sure you do that, and you need that break from your work. The other thing I've learned from doing my homework and my assignments is that I was so anxious to get it in that I really didn't take the time to really proof myself, go with your instincts, do the homework, step away from it, and then come back to it. And be happy with what you're submitting and say, okay, I'm done. But make sure you take a break from it first and then come back to it. Then you can correct your mistakes or whatever. And I have to say, don't be afraid to ask questions of your professors. I like one professor over the other because their teaching styles are different. And I've learned that as well. Find your groove with your professors. Don't be afraid to say, hey, I don't understand that, or can you explain a little bit better? I've learned to not be afraid of who I am. And as a kid, you didn't want to look dumb. You didn't want to look stupid in class. Now, when it came to regular people, I really didn't care. But now I'm in a place of, like I said, I don't really need approval so much. And I'm not ashamed of school. I'm not ashamed of telling you where I am going. But some things I think should be sacred to you. And, in all due time. But educating myself right now is sacred to me. And like I said, I don't mind sharing with what I'm studying. But at the same time, I think, again, I've learned this is between me and God right now, to be honest with you. I'm really embarking on a journey, like I said, later in my life. And it's scary. It really is. I have to admit, I'm up and down because I'm trying to be the perfect student. And I'm trying to let go of that little kid in me that wants to be perfect. It's okay if you don't get the perfect grade, but do your best. I'm giving myself pep talks and again, it's the process, and I'm just at the beginning of the process. So pray for me. But I'm happy. Needless to say, I am overjoyed to be a student. I am. And I still have a lot of personal challenges that I'm struggling with, to be honest with you. And school is helping that. I have to say, I have to thank my partner and our dog for helping me keep me centered, doing things, normal things to keep me away from losing my mind. And then also not focusing on the problems in my life in terms of money and all the other list of things that I'm sure other people are going through right now. Because like I said, this is not a political podcast. It's never going to be that. And if you're listening to me now, it's always about solutions. Always. I'm not going to complain. It's one of those things that what are we going to do together? What are we going to do? So if there's a problem, whether it's money, emotional, Okay, what are we doing? What's the plan? What's the plan? Because I don't believe in it. You allow yourself time to deal with whatever you're dealing with. Give yourself a time limit, heal, and then get back to business. And to be honest, yesterday I had a moment. Yesterday was the last day of class. And I was thinking about my Aunt Pam, who was my mentor, big sister, my mom's younger sister who died some years ago. And I know she would be proud of me making this decision. And I wanted to call her and tell her, about my grades and my school and what's happening. And she was my go-to when it came to stuff like this, and sharing things that I'm learning. And I know she would be suggesting different things and giving me her input. And I just cried. I cried like Viola Davis crying, because I really miss her input, her wisdom, her thoughts. I wasn't sad. I just wanted to share how happy I was with her and how I finally understood what she was trying to tell me about being educated. And she used to say to me, how do you get these opportunities and you don't have a degree? Back then, because I've worked for some really great companies and I just knew how to talk my way into stuff. And in hindsight, I never understood what she was saying. Like, how do you get those jobs and you don't have a degree? It just never registered with me. And which is so ironic because, again, people always thought that I did have a degree. And it's because I hung around educated people. I learned how to read certain types of books and music. It was all because I was influenced by people that were smarter than me. And even to this day, I'm still that way. I love educated people, especially humble, educated people, not so much arrogant and pompous, but people that don't mind sharing their knowledge, especially black people, just like Mr. Woodson Carter sharing his information about the miseducation of a Negro. And it's still going on to this day that people believe certain things about themselves. And actually, that's one of the challenges I faced in Oklahoma, meeting those black people that are convinced that they need white people to show them stuff or who they are. And that's crazy to me. But I understand it. I understand you know what you know. And the only issue I have with that is there's so many avenues now to educate yourself. You can go to YouTube. I taught myself how to write my screenplay by watching YouTube videos and taking notes. That's it. I took notes and I literally wrote my first screenplay. That is another project that I've started that I'm going to finish. But my point is, we have to educate ourselves. Have to. The world is in trouble. We're in trouble. And to be stupid, to be ignorant purposely in this day and age is a choice that you're making. Period. Books are available online, offline. You can get a used book anywhere. You can even borrow books from friends if they allow you to. But to allow yourself to live in ignorance in 2025 on any level is a disservice. And I don't feel sorry for people like that. I don't. If you're of the right mind and you can go to the library and borrow a book, there's so many avenues to educate yourself. It's crazy. And to not be aware of those things is, I don't understand that. How can you not know certain things? But I think the world needs to get back to basic skills, basic customer service skills. Hello, how you doing? Thank you. How can I help you? I think a lot of companies need to get back to educating their employees. And then also, why are people so intimidated and insecure about people that know stuff? Isn't it better to ask the question and find out, how did you get that? How did you get that house? How did you get that car? Because to be honest with you, everything I learned how to do, I had to do by myself. Buying my first house, buying my first car, and all the mistakes I made because nobody wanted to help me. Nobody went with me to the dealership to buy my first car. Nobody went with me to look at houses. And I made some mistakes. I overpaid for some things. And again, it gets back to education. Ask the question. Like, for example, my partner is excellent when it comes to money. He can talk to you about money, how to make it, where to find it. And the things that I have learned from him, just like simple, like managing a credit card, the APR and things that he talks about that he don't even know I'm listening when it comes to financial literacy. It's, oh my God, it's important. I mean, like hugely important. I mean, I know how to pay my bills and things like that and surviving, but you need to learn how to maneuver in this life. I mean, maneuver, duck and dodge, because it's a beast out here and it's not getting better. And if you're hanging around people that are not teaching you about money or at least helping you better yourself, like the old saying goes, give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. Teach him how to fish, he'll eat forever. That's true. That's very true. And I don't think people are realizing that we're in that time now where being educated it's a right. It's something you have to do on purpose. You do. And I don't understand the big deal. The only thing I can say is it's lonely. It is lonely to not have anybody to talk to. And I'm glad I have a small circle of friends and family that I can talk to when it comes to sharing things, the milestones, and all that good stuff. But I have to share a quick little story. I'm in my graphic design class and getting my first A on an assignment. I was so excited. I mean, I literally went to the bathroom at work and I just was dancing around like a kid. I never worked for an A before. I mean, I earned that A and I was excited. And then to see another A and another A, it's like, okay. And the joy of looking at myself differently, the confidence, the using parts of my mind that I haven't used in a long time is mind-blowing. Sharing things with my partner about, and my parents and my godson and my best friend, and just sharing things and saying, oh my God, hey, look what I learned, look what I did. And it's not about getting them to like what you did. I mean, of course, that's always a bonus, but this is what I'm working on. And that's the other thing. We have to stop looking for approval from people. They don't have to like everything that you do, especially when it comes to creativity. It's about personal taste, and writing, the same thing. Everybody, you like who you like. There are certain writers that I like, and there are ones that I don't particularly care for, but that doesn't mean they're less a writer. And I'm about to take a writing class. And I actually have to admit, I haven't taken a writing class since high school. This is going to be challenging because I've never been graded on my writing before. Just like my graphic work, I've never been graded on it. So it's interesting to see. And I'm really nervous about it, but I'm excited, very excited. And everything I'm taking, I think, is going to better my personal life and my professional life. And I'm saying this to say that I hope that if you're thinking about going back to school, do your research, and don't be afraid to ask questions. But don't ask people, let me just tell you, if they don't have nothing to do, if they didn't go to college, they don't have anything to offer you in terms of going to college, don't ask. Don't, if they give you any kind of apprehension, well, why are you doing that? Move on. Don't waste any time talking to people that have no interest in helping you become a better person. I don't care what it is. If they're reluctant to share anything with you, information, anything, and I mean like people that are wanting to, they know you're passionate and you really want to do it. It's like, hey, I want to go back to school. Can you help me with that? Yeah, I can. And even if there's, I mean, I'm telling you this now. If you want to reach out to me via email, I'll tell you what I did. And I'm going to share during the podcast the process. But right now, I just wanted to talk about the mental part, getting prepared, becoming a student, getting used to being a student, letting go of certain issues that you may have, and focus on the goal. What's the goal? And keep on keeping on. And some things, like, again, you have to keep to yourself. You do. You really do have to keep to yourself. And I've learned that educating yourself is for the betterment of your life. It's going to help you in your other relationships as well. It will. It definitely will. And I'm excited. I love learning something new. I mean, I literally love it. The only thing I have to work on is letting go of perfection. Letting go of perfection. Letting go of having to be the perfect student. I don't think that person exists. And focus on your lane and staying in your lane. But also taking time to take a break. Take a break. Rest your mind, focus your mind, and again, let the people around you know, hey, I need to study, or hey, I need to take a break. Because you do need to rest your mind. You do. And this is the first time I've podcast, like I said, in about 8 weeks. And I just didn't have the time. My brain was fried. And I wasn't sure what I was going to talk about, but I'm not sharing my school journey on social media. I'm only sharing it on the podcast. So if you're not listening to the podcast, you won't know. So again, it's like, I want the people that are wanting to go back to school, wanting to, not even school, if you just want to better yourself, that's what I want this to be. I'm gaslighting you to be better, to get up and say, you know what? I'm not going to watch the news every day. I'm not going to stress myself out. Get up. Because the next part of my journey is getting back in the gym and eating right again and taking my medication in terms of my blood pressure and all that and bettering my health. I don't want to be educating myself and I'm not taking care of my body. So that's the other part of this journey, is getting back to exercise and heart rate and just because I've been making some mistakes, eating badly and doing a lot of things that I shouldn't be doing from stress. But again, educate yourself. Educate. Now is the time. I will be 60 years old in 4 years. A lot can happen in 4 years. So it's about being proactive. And if God gives me another 4 years, wonderful. But this is the man I'm going to be till I'm gone. This is the man. I'm going to always be that person that is encouraging people. And I hope that when I'm not here, people will listen and say, oh, this is what Mose would do. This is what he said. Because again, we're human and we all go through some shit every single day. There's always another piece of shit coming at you and forgive me for my candor, but it is what it is. Life be lifing, even when you got other stuff going on. And you got to deal with that too. So don't wallow in self-pity. Don't complain, and keep some stuff to yourself. And lastly, well, almost lastly, some things are sacred. Your body is sacred. Your mind is sacred. Your heart is sacred. Your relationships are sacred. And what I mean by sacred, I'm talking about sacred, like precious. Life is precious. Don't waste your time and energy on things that don't bring joy to your life. Just don't. And some things, keep off social media. Just keep it off. Some things should just be between you and the people that you care about. Anger, frustration, sadness. And if you need to talk to somebody, pick up the phone and say the words, I need to talk to you because I have problems. I have something going on. Don't expect people to know what you're talking about. Say the words, I need help. I'm going through it. Because I don't feel sorry for people like that. I'm not a mind reader. I got other stuff going on too. So if you need to talk to somebody, say the words. Text them and say, hey, because nobody knows. And at the end of the day, nobody cares because they don't know. And you call until you get somebody that does. Because again, we have to educate each other. To be stupid again, uneducated in 2025 There's no excuse. There isn't. There's too many avenues. Too many. And I'm not trying to preach at you, but I'm just saying we all need each other to be in better places. So, that being said, I want to say thank you for listening to me vent and rant. But of course, I want you to visit my store, All Things Moetic. And I'm hoping that I can make some changes to it in the next few months. I want to add some stuff and rearrange some stuff. And of course, my Black Man Magic t-shirts are always available for the black magical man in your life. And what I love about my t-shirts is that you can get it for any man of any age. Black, of course. And you can get it for your grandfather, for your uncle, great uncle, friend, neighbor. Doesn't matter how old they are. College student, young person. That's what I love about it. There's a lot of black magical men out there. And I'm one of them. But anyway, as always, I pray life is treating you well wherever you are in the world. And that you're one day closer and closer and closer to your dreams, prayers, hopes, and aspirations coming true. Thank you for listening.